Warm welcome to a Podful of Saints on Wednesday, the 25th of October 2023, the 15th episode of the series. Feels like about number 75, but there you go. On we go. With myself, David Tavener, the ever smiling Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Hello, everyone. I think we need to find a hobby that's a bit less stressful, don't we? After this couple of days events.
Stressful. Stress, you don't know what stress is, boy. And the other one over there somewhere, Lee Wood.
The other one over there somewhere. Brilliant intro. Love that. To be fair, it's probably one of the kindest ones that you've done for me, Taz. Good evening, fellas. How are we doing? 3 points. Come on.
That crest looks great on that hoodie, Lee. It stands out. It looks really good. I don't know why a club doesn't get a crest like that. Right. Two games to look back on. A fantastic weekend for the Saints. 2 games, 6 points. I tell you what, the J2Os are flowing here. Last Saturday, down at Chippenham, Hardenhuish Park. I don't know about you, Jake, but on the way down there, I joined the M4 at Swindon. I saw all the flooded fields on the way down there. Memories of your joyful trip there last year. You get to the Hardenhuish Park. The pitch looks superb, didn't it? You wouldn't have thought it's all that rain was around.
Yeah, it's brilliant. A nice stress-free journey to Chippenham again. Definitely no issues this year at all. We won't mention that. Yeah, it was a nice, it was a good pitch, and it was a good result. It was a surprise, to be honest. I think those of us that did travel, the handful of us, we weren't confident going down there. We were really quite worried, despite Chippenham's home form, which we talked about last week. But overall, it was an improved performance, I thought, and it was really important that we came away with those 3 points and we won it in a brilliant way. And you can't ask for much more. But yeah, 3 points. There's a lot more to talk about in the game, though.
I thought Chippenham's lived quite happily up or down to their home form, however you want to look at it. But they seemed to lose confidence as the game went on, I thought. And big fight back at the end from them when we were ahead, it just didn't materialise. And in the end, we were fairly comfortable. It didn't look like that early on, did it? They had a few chances. And they went ahead on 32 minutes with Matt McClure and a lovely goal, lovely finish. And it did look dodgy for a while, didn't it, Jake?
Yeah, certain Michael Johnson stepped up again to save another penalty, although wasn't the greatest penalty, was it? So it's one of his easier saves. But yeah, for that 5-10 minute spell, it didn't look great. But we responded well. Mitchell took his goal well, not the hardest finish, but I think it was important to equalise before half time. I mean, we probably should have taken the lead before half time if it can be, missing a decent chance, a couple of crosses across the face of goal. And then, as you say, Chippenham second half almost felt like they were quite content with their point, to be honest, at home. I think they were happy to sort of stop the rot and get away with a point. And we managed to sneak away in ourselves with the points, thanks to a wonderful substitution from David Noble.
Well, after that goal by McClure, he then hit the crossbar, which I think you alluded to had chances. And then that penalty, it is easy. It's only easy if you go the right way, of course. And Michael Johnson's record, quite fantastic. The last 9 penalties, only 2 have ended up as goals. He saved 6 and 1's gone wide. It's a phenomenal record. And had he not saved that penalty, it would have been 2-0 down. And almost certainly would have lost that game. Mitchell, his goalkeeping error, I felt there. Jake, Sulo drilled it across. The keeper parried it outwards. He should have pushed it up or any but where he put it. And nice finish though by Mitch, because that went through a crowd of players and he was alert, drilled it in beautifully. The winning goal, you're quite right. But yeah, you've got a bit of a story on George Morrall's winning goal, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, none of us behind the goal actually thought it was going in. The minute he hit it, to be fair to him, brilliant hit. But the minute he hit it, it looked like it was sailing over. And then when it hit the top corner, we were like, oh my God, no, that's not gone in, has it? What the heck? And then we sprinted down. It was brilliant. Then we caught up with George afterwards and he sort of shared similar views of, I didn't think that was going in, lads. And I sort of came off my toe in the end. But it doesn't matter how it went in. It was a great hit, great finish. And Dave, you made a good point after the game, actually, surprisingly, that it was a bit of a change to actually have one of our players just hit a shot at target from a little bit, further out, take a chance, see what happens. And that's amazing what happens. You can actually score a goal when that happens.
It's what we've been banging on about all season, isn't it? We come on to the Slough game. I thought they were victims of it as well last night. A try shot. We saw it against Dover, wasn't it? When the keeper he got fed up waiting for a shot and he practically threw it in his own net in the end. Just try these shots, and then it's up to the keeper to save them. And George, as you said, there's a toe poke. You watch your highlights; it looks a fantastic strike.
Yeah.
I've got a question for young Jacob. Considering you were quite uncomplimentary about young George on last week's pod, did you sort of perhaps share some of those comments with George after the game?
It wasn't that uncomplimentary at all. I have to say, I thought the big difference for him last on Saturday was that he actually came on as a striker, and I think he's naturally more of a striker, more inclined in those central positions. And I thought he did look better there. And he came on with Sean Jeffers, of course, as well. But I thought George looked much more comfortable in that position, actually in a central area on the edge of the box, moving into the box. And I thought that worked in his favour. And you can't argue at all with the substitution, can you? It worked brilliantly. Any of us that thought it wasn't going to work, we look like we've got egg on our faces now. And that's the beauty of football.
Wait, what? So playing players in their positions that they like,
yeah,
they'll never catch on. Never catch on.
I don't know what he's on about, Leagues. There's nobody on our side of the pitch saying, what's he doing taking Weiss off and putting Jeffers on? Put them on together. 69 games together, 58 goals. He stands out like a sore thumb. Sean Jeffers, 35 starts under David Noble, 27 goals. Stands out like a sore thumb. But you don't want to worry about stuff like that. But funny, when George first came on, his first touch was out on the right wing and thought, hello, he's going to right midfield or right wing or whatever. But no, he was in the right place for that goal. We'll give him the benefit of a hell of a lot of doubt and say he took it well. What else overall, Jake? Did you feel it was us getting stronger or Chippenham lost confidence as the game went on?
Well, I thought it was a bit of both. I think the good thing from Saturday was it did feel like that last 20 minutes there was actually quite a bit of fight from the team. Something we didn't see at Farnborough, to be honest. Second half, well, that second half at Farnborough was really quite poor, wasn't it? And I thought we showed that, which was really important. And it was good to see, banged on about it, but Nobby's substitutions working. It's been a little while since we've had an impact sub like that, and it has worked, and it was perfect almost, wasn't it? Last 10 minutes, there was a few hairy moments, a few balls into the box. There was a bit of worries, but we held on. I suppose the only negative is the injury to Michael Johnson, isn't it, that came towards the end?
Yeah, come on to that in a minute. It's great about fighting back. It's the first time we've done it for goodness knows how many games, way back into last season. And people say, great, it's character in the side. Well, you mentioned at Farnborough, we just died in the second half, and it's happened so many times this season. So they've got to show this on a consistent basis now to show that there is genuine character in that side. But Yeoman's for the last two games are a lot more encouraging. Difficult for you, Lee, because you only got the highlights to go by. Were you able to draw anything from those?
I did start to listen to the online commentary, but it just turned out to London. I'll turn that off, and I basically just thought, you know what, I watched the highlights and listened to you two fellas. All I would say, I was not expecting to get anything down at Chippenham. It's not been a good hunting ground for us. I thought if we get a point, just we'll take it and run. But the flashes of brilliance, George. I think what a sweet strike, and he's a nice fella as well. But I do think that yes, Dave, you are right. It does show character, and hopefully we can continue showing greater character at more occasions. It will set us up in good stead, mate.
Yeah, you're right about our record at Chippenham. 7 previous visits there, and all we got was a couple of draws. Nothing to write home about, so it was nice to finally get that victory. I want to pick out one player who I thought on Saturday, Joe Partington. Just joined us, only second game for us, and joined us from Farnborough. Very composed on the ball. Occasionally passes go astray, but he's like Franz Beckenbauer, isn't he? He strolls around there slowly, and then he just slides a good ball.
Sorry, I can't let that slide. You're comparing Joe Partington to Franz Beckenbauer. I mean,
I think if he keeps playing like this, Lee, I think the comparison will have to be the other way round.
Hang on. I'm not ready for this. Hang on. Right, okay, go. I'm not ready for this, mate.
He slows it right down. You think we're going nowhere. But you think, for Christ's sake, get on with it. And he just puts a lovely ball through the middle or out to someone. And you see all the experience he's got there. In many ways, it's like what David Noble used to do, the way he finds players that, just like that. And it's good to see. And 33, but hopefully he's got a few more years left in him. And hopefully we're going to have a good campaign with
Yeah,
him.
I think the Farnborough game was always going to be a tough start for him, wasn't he? Coming from Farnborough, joining us straight away. But I'd say he looked better at Chippenham. And I would say as well, one big difference I thought was two returnees, Ben Wyatt and Dan Bowery. I think both of them on Saturday, I think you could tell we've missed them, to be honest. You know, that I thought we looked a bit more composed at the back. Also, Ben added a bit more going forwards. And when you've got a back line of Carlisle, Partington, and Barry, suddenly you have a bit of a presence back there, and you've got players that can sort of deal with the aerial balls, but also deal with it on the ground as well. So, if we are to continue this improved form, I think we need to try and get a settled defence again, given all the injuries we have. And I think we took a little bit of a step there on Saturday with those players that came back.
I agree with you about Nathan Carlisle, or M6 as he is in our part of the ground. I think he's been playing quite well lately. And Ben Wyatt, I thought that was one of his best games since he returned to the club.
Yeah.
I don't think he's matched his form just yet, but I thought that's it. You're getting back to form, Ben. When we come on to last night, but yeah, that was encouraging. Dan Bowery, you mentioned there, he was away for 2 games. 2 games for Antigua and Barbuda against Bahamas. They won 4-1 and drew 2-2. So it's nice to have yet another international in our ranks, and second one from that country, of course. So it's good to have a bit of experience back in the side there and whatnot. Right, are we done with Chippenham?
Hope so.
Isn't everybody?
Don't want to go back there again during more flooding next year.
I like it. I like it. You did have trouble, didn't you? You got a delay of about 30 minutes somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we won't talk about the delay of. I wasn't even meant to be there because I was meant to be in Leeds, but that was unreachable due to flooding. So decided to go to Chippenham. Got delayed by flooding, but it was all worth it thanks to George. So who cares?
That must have been gutting. You're going out for a good weekend and you end up watching us. Soul destroying.
I mean, the evenings out in Chippenham and Leeds are very similar, if I'm honest. Very similar places.
Yeah, okay. Right, then we move on to Tuesday nights. Slough Town at Clarence Park. Bombshell of news we got in the afternoon with Michael Johnson out with another fracture, his third finger injury. I spoke to him before the game last night, and he never had a broken finger before he joined us, so it's not as if he came with a dicky finger. Why he keeps getting in the way of his players, I don't know. He's got an operation on Friday, then he's facing about 6 to 8 weeks recuperation. And he says this time, I've really got to back off and not get involved in any warm-ups and whatnot and just rest it properly. What about his standing? Sam Bentley, thought his handling was superb last night.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I know you're a bit of a critic of keepers sometimes.
Am I? Only the shit ones. But listen, I mean, to be fair, it's. I thought he did superbly well. It was a really good game of football. As I mentioned in my tweet last night, it's a little bit more stress than I care to get on a Tuesday night. But given you're a Saints fan, that's going to happen. I thought he was really good. His handling. He made a couple of good stops in the first half. He was brave in the first half. He's not going to shy away from running at attackers' feet. Not for someone who's relatively tall. He's not too dominant in the air, but he's got good hands. Speaking of hands, MJ, I mean, his is obviously made out of glass. I'm not entirely sure how many more, fingers he has to sort of lose. But I do feel for him because he's been exceptional for us. He really has. He hasn't really done anything wrong, but the fact is he keeps picking up these injuries now, and you do wonder whether he's going to be the same player after having so many of the same type of injury. It's going to take its toll sooner or later. But back to the game last night, I mean, no complaints other than the fact that you could see it once we went 2-0 ahead. So we sort of sat there and we thought, this is amazing. It's by far the best we've played in the first half all season. Second half came and I was talking to name check, non-league Jesus, come and stood next to me for the start of the second half. And he goes, this has been amazing. So, well, of course it is, mate. 2-0 up. We're coasting. I then said, if they score next, you watch, because our inability to assert ourselves on games when we're ahead is just absolute comical at times, isn't it? It really is.
A couple of things there. Michael Johnson, I don't think him coming back from this one's going to be a problem. You look at his form this season, I think it's his best form he's had with the club. So that's after a couple of injuries.
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem when he comes back, assuming he can displace Sam Bentley, of course. There we go. Jake, I'll let you go on, but your thoughts of that game last night?
Well, it was just bonkers, wasn't it? First half, really comfortable. Well, I say really comfortable. Slough had some half chances. I think actually what was really noticeable to me for the first half hour, 40 minutes almost, was how much space there was, especially in midfield, and actually how aggressive we were being in midfield, and especially Ben Smith. He wasn't sitting back. He was turning. He was going forward. He was looking for the passes. He was working towards the edge of the area. And I think that was a big part of how we played in that first half. We cut them apart at will at times. And we almost probably should have been 3 goals to the good. There was a couple of chances that we maybe should have scored. They couldn't really cope with us attacking wise. They did create chances down the other end. And that's why it was such an entertaining game in that first half. And to be honest, I think a lot of the change did come when Ben Smith was forced off with what looked to be some sort of wrist or hand injury, picked up again very innocuously. That looks to have ruled him out now for however long. But yeah, in the second half, like Lee's sort of suggestion we'll get onto, was just a totally different story, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't, though, was it? No, it's the same story. Because this happens all the time. You know, it's almost as though we've got to score twice just to get anything out of the game at all, let alone a win. So it's not different. It's the same story. And given the fact that we've got our players who are supposed to be, you know, these wonderful, gifted individuals, and they just can't keep hold of the ball. I was saying to a couple of our fans around us, we just got to keep hold of the ball. And we can't do that under pressure. And that's when Slough just grew in stature, and you could almost inevitably feel that their second goal was coming.
Yeah, the goals against this season, I don't think it's been too big of problems. Really, our defence has looked open. We've conceded a reasonable number of goals, not a high number. I'm quite happy with the way that's gone so far. I didn't think we were totally comfortable by half time. I thought Slough started to come back into it. I think you've mentioned it. They had a few chances. You could see them probing. And that second half, the first 25 minutes or so, 30 minutes, they just blitzed us. But I felt where they let themselves down, we mentioned about George Morrall's shot on Saturday. They didn't have enough shots. They knew we didn't have an experienced goalkeeper in there. Sam, off the top of my head, I think he's 19. Talking of which, Michael Johnson turns 30 on Saturday. Young lad from Hartenden, South Down, St John's Lord schools, if you want that. So he's local, which is great, just like Dylan Berry was, of course. And so it's great to see him succeeding. And I felt they could have tested him more. They put a few crosses in. He dealt with those superbly. But quite often they look for too perfect an opening to get these crosses in. They could have got them in earlier. And that's a fault of us as well. But our reason, we didn't put them in early because we only had one man up there. We needed more support. But you talk about stressful nights, Lee. You don't want them. I'd rather have a game like this every week than some of the dross we've seen earlier this season where we grind out wins.
By a country mile. But what I mean is that when you go 2-0 up, you would half imagine us to either really sort of kick on, and you'd like to sort of see us score another 2, 3, 4 goals even, you know, but it's just never the way. I don't know why. I don't know whether the players get too comfortable, get too familiar, and they just sort of, I don't know, they switch off maybe. But the second half, it was such a vast comparison to the first. And they had all the ball, and we just couldn't keep it. And it just needed to sort of stick, and we needed to relieve that pressure. It wasn't until it got back to sort of 2-2, we started playing arguably some of the best football of the entire game to go on and win it. I mean, it's just that utter madness. But I echo your thoughts, Dave, absolutely.
Was it a case of also, once they got back to 2-2, maybe they eased up a bit? What I would do is give them a lot of credit. They were 10 games unbeaten, and you could see in the second half the confidence they had, particularly when they got the first goal. And they were just pushing that ball around beautifully and really stretching us. They should have made more of it. Maybe they did do what we did. Well, some people think ease up once they got a couple of goals, and they paid the price for it.
They certainly did, and it has to be said again. Our response to going 2-2 was really good, wasn't it? I mean, it was bizarre. We were terrible from 45 minutes up to 71 minutes, and then we're amazing again. And it just that third goal almost sums it up, doesn't it? The way we cut them apart with that brilliant move, great finish again. Mitch at the heart of it as well. I think it has to be said, fair play to Ibby Akanbi. 2 goals last night, not a bad return. Considering, he's not been everyone's first choice up front, is he? And I think he's proved a couple of people wrong, which is brilliant. And hopefully that gives him confidence going into a run of games now. But the way that goal came about was superb. And to be honest, that last 10 minutes after that, we had plenty of the ball, didn't we? And we actually, like you said, Lee, when we got the ball and kept the ball, we looked extremely comfortable and Slough couldn't get it off us. So that kind of makes the whole half hour before that even harder to understand why we did play like we did.
Akanbi's finishing was excellent, and he tested the keeper also with a powerful shot from outside the box again. The keeper had to go full length to save. He certainly got a good shot on it. He's not the quickest player out there, but he does know how to strike that ball cleanly, and it'd be interesting to see where the season goes for him now. Earlier on, Lee, I think you were talking about Ben Smith, or one of you was anyway. I think recently he's looked more attack-minded than he was earlier in the season. That said, he started off yesterday in the first couple of minutes. Goodness knows how many back passes he did. But after that, he was taking it forward. And it was such a shame, 7 minutes before half-time, he got that injury.
Yeah.
Which allowed a new boy to come in, of course, Emmanuel Harvest. I was close.
Close enough, mate.
Yeah.
One leads to the other. That's fine.
bit of a surprise, wasn't it, to see that loan come in yesterday in that position as well. But thank goodness we did. Maybe Nobby had a sort of premonition that we're going to get another midfield injury last night, because I think we were struggling for bodies otherwise, weren't we? Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about from last night, but one of the stories again is the injuries, isn't it? The amount of injuries. I mean, to go and manage to pick up a good number last night, it's just at this stage now it feels like someone's playing a practical joke on us, doesn't it? It is unbelievable. I can't remember anything like this. The amount of players that are just dropping like flies at the minute.
Well, I've got a list here. Michael Johnson, Karen Wiltshire, Zane Banton, Jack James, Sam Brown, Michael Clark, George Hoddle, Ben Smith, Ben Wyatt, all out injured. How many would not have been in our first team had they been fit? Not many of them.
Are we adding Dylan Farge? He went off injured as well, didn't he?
He went off as well, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but in Nobby's post-match interview, he was a bit dismissive of whether he was injured or not. He didn't go down that line. He didn't seem to agree that he was injured, but
there you go.
But it is going to be tough, though. But one thing I would say about Ibby is that I feel quite sorry for him, because he wants to play for us, and that's great. But he will forever be under that cloud of comparison with another striker. But getting back to him and his positives, I thought he was 2 exceptionally well-taken goals last night. The first one in particular, actually, because it was a direct one-on-one, and those go wrong more often than not. But he was cool. He was measured. He waited for the keeper to commit a little bit, and then he did his job. The thing is, no, he's not the fastest. And when we were under the cosh in the second half, he did absolutely naffle. It was up to Mitch. I actually watched this quite intently. It was actually Mitch sort of ushering him around to sort of try and close the angles and close the avenues and push them back a bit. But, I mean, that touch of class, that third goal, the movement, there was like 3 or 4 players involved. That is the sort of quality that he's going to bring to us. And it's fantastic. And he's got his rewards, because he has worked hard since he come on board here. And so hopefully his run will continue.
Yeah, you're right about the one-on-ones. I think it was on Saturday, wasn't it, Jake? He had a similar sort of thing, not quite as clear as that one last night. And Chippenham keeper, wasn't it, Will Henry, stretched out his leg and saved it with a boot. And that didn't play on his mind at all. He finished with a plum last night.
And I thought last night's was a bit more composed as well. Like Lee says, he almost waited for the keeper to go first, which was much better. And yeah, just overall, I think attacking wise, I think there was a lot of positives to take from last night. That was one of, we had plenty of shots. We had created lots of openings. Good to see again, probably another couple of chances where we should have got shots away. I think I remember one where Gio Rossillo picked the ball up in the box and sort of, I don't know why he didn't shoot. at all, and it ended up going back pretty much to the keeper. So still a bit of work there, but I thought attacking wise, that's one of our better displays in a recent while. And when the defence is struggling, we need to score goals and stay in games with those. And it was good to see Mitch and Akanbi working well together. One notable thing is how deep Mitch is dropping in games sometimes. Considering the pace he has and what he created the second goal with that pace down the left, getting behind a man. But he's dropping so deep. He's almost dropping into central midfield at times last couple of weeks. Really noticeable, that tactic. And I don't know, it's not working for me personally, but, 2 wins, can't argue with it.
It's funny, those first 2 goals, it's the things before the goals that made them memorable. The through ball for the first one, I think it was Ben Smith, wasn't it? That's what Nobby went for anyway. So we go for that. And the second one, Mitch's run. He gave the defender about a 5-yard start. He said, "But don't you want it?" And beat him to it and wiggled his way into the box. It was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was almost like a winger. You won't remember wingers, Jake, but they used to make games entertaining.
What about Reece Morrall-Williamson? He was a winger, wasn't
he? Yeah. Okay.
Well, he thought he was. But the goal we scored last night, indeed, it was very similar to the goal that Banton scored. They got 1 million views on Facebook, on YouTube. Sorry, where it was just that smart, sweet one-touch passing, the movement. But the thing is, that is the football that we can play. We can play that. Oh, go on. Taz is going to chip in. Go on.
Solomon Sambo, it was against
Solomon Sambo. Apologies. Yeah. Okay. But again, that is the sort of football that we can play, and we're playing it in the right areas. Thankfully, it's just a shame that we had to go through a good half an hour of just torture to get to that point. But all's well that ends well, and it's 6 points out of 6, boys, and roll on Saturday.
Right, Emmanuel Harvest, we'll go for that as his name. I thought he did okay his first game. He describes himself as a defensive midfielder, wins the ball and whatnot, and that's pretty much how he played. Just kept it simple when he got the ball. And another reason possibly why Nobby's brought him in, Ryan Blackman, he played a whole game last night. I didn't know till I checked with team sheets. He didn't get booked. But I suspect he might be suspended on Saturday. He's had 5 bookings in the league. So maybe with the injury situation, Nobby felt it time to bring someone in there, because I guess Blackman won't be playing Saturday.
No, but then I suppose who does play alongside Harvest on Saturday if Smith's not available? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Are we thinking about possibly another loan signing? Then may have to happen.
I think there probably has to be one somewhere in the squad. I mean, it just depends on how the injuries from last night look, don't they? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be hard. We've talked about it already. It is ridiculous. I mean, if you put the last 2 wins in the context as well of the squad at the minute and the injuries we have, I think to come out of these 2 with 6 points and to be left in 6th position, it's not bad, is it? There's not many managers that would do as well as Nobby has done in the last couple of weeks with the injury situation. It is really quite impressive.
Well, I think some of our performances don't justify the points total that we've got. But when you look at these problems with the injuries we've had, it's full credit to Nobby and the boys that they've managed to now get themselves into a top 6, totally irrelevant after 14 games. But they are hanging around there. So when they get the whole squad back, it looks encouraging.
There's one word that he used in his post-match last night that I've not heard him say in a while, and it's spirit or character. And I think the more we get these players playing together, the thing is, this is it though, isn't it? There's that sticking point where we're not entirely sure whether he can get 11 to get out there in the first place. Yeah. And if he can, how many of them are actually going to finish the game? But that does show character. It does show spirit. It does show a bond of these players. We might not rate some of these players. We might not, other fans might not rate some of these players, but there is something there that is going to hold us in good stead going forward. It's just whether we can click as a collective over the course of the season is going to be, imperative of where we finish. So performances in relation to position, yeah, but I think the hand that Nobby's been dealt, I think his hands have it superbly well.
Doesn't it look like, I think, Jack James is about the most likely one to return next, but you can't imagine him going straight into the lineup. You would have thought maybe feed him in slowly off the bench. We might not have a choice. Might just have to chuck him in.
Mm.
But young Kieran Gauthier, he league debut last night, 10 minutes
Mm.
plus whatever it was injury time, so 15 odd minutes. That won't have done him any harm.
I thought it looked all right.
One thing I would say, fellas, here's a question for you. Given how well the young keeper did last night, is there an argument to get someone else in the meantime? I don't know. We had huge success with Berry. Is there an argument to maybe get someone from a pro club in, like we did last year? Because as well as he played, if MJ is going to be out for the good part of 2 months, that's a lot of pressure to heap on those young shoulders, especially when we've got some key games coming up as well. I'm not saying he won't be able to handle it, but I think it is a real baptism of fire when you're at home under the lights at Clarence Park, the old girls rocking, and there's you've got fans behind you. That's different to some of the challenges that he's going to face over the next 2 weeks. 2 months.
Okay, of course, he's not a total novice in that respect.
No.
Because he came from Luton Town youth, which is a decent standard, isn't it? Being with a club like that, you would have thought. And the way he played last night, I think you're right. When we got the news, we were wondering, we're going to try and get Dylan Berry back, or as you mentioned, somebody similar. But when you watch Sam last night, you think, well, you've got to give him a chance.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, it was a discussion before the game and during the game. I think with a lot of fans expecting some sort of loan signing potentially. I suppose I thought Sam did well. I think the more he plays, the more confidence he gets. I think the only two situations you have to worry about is, do we have a backup keeper in the squad or in the academy that Nobby has some confidence, could sit on the bench if has to be, or if Sam picks up a knock, or if he makes a mistake and loses a bit of confidence, that is still possible. He's so young, so I think there's a bit of risk there, but I think Nobby's shown him his confidence in him, which will do him a world of good, and hopefully he can kick on with that.
He's got to play him Saturday. You cannot drop him after that just to bring a lone player in.
No, of course not. No, you're absolutely spot on. And of course, but I think Jake is right. We're going to need another keeper in the ranks at some point, because MJ has told you it's going to be 2 months. That's MJ being, optimistic. I guess it could be longer. There's a real chance that we're sort of going into the festive season and beyond with Sam in goal. Don't forget, you got a couple of derbies in there, and we're going to have to make sure that he's absolutely on it. But we are going to, irrespective of how long MJ is out for, we're going to need someone else, either as backup or as a challenger to Sam going in between those sticks.
I assume the other backup at the moment, if he's still with the reserve team, whatever it's called, would be Liam Gauthier, Kieran's brother. I remember playing against Matt Gauthier. He played for our reserves in the early 80s. Used to play five-a-side against him on a Monday night. He had the hardest shot I've ever seen. You didn't see him put his leg back, but suddenly, boom, there's the ball, it's gone. Totally irrelevant to tonight, but they're a footballing family.
Good story. Good chat, Tabs.
Right, so we're all happy with Slough Town. The end of their 10-match unbeaten run, so which is good for us. We hope we got a side out Saturday. And Saturday's Averley, an unknown quantity, really. They started the season like a house on fire. Good wins at Worthing and Maidstone, so that suggests it's going to be tough Saturday. But they've gone off lately. 1 win in 7. Slid down the table a little bit. Pretty much sitting next to us now, I think. Do we fancy ourselves for this one?
I'm not going to get drawn into that, because I'm going to say, yeah, on paper you should do, because we're at home. We should be building on the 2 wins that we've had over the last week. Averley, as you say, not in great form. You'd like to say yes, however, injuries, form, whatever. I mean, you'd like to say yes, wouldn't you? Because these are the games that we should win. But again, this is St Albans City. Inconsistency is running through our veins at the minute. So who knows? Jacob is going to give a bit more in-depth synopsis of the game, I'm sure.
Don't know about that. It's hard to, isn't it, at the minute because of the injury situation. It's hard to go into a game thinking, all right, we're going to be good here. We've got an 11 to play. Because we can't think like that at the minute. I think Aveley will be difficult. Be interested to see how they get on tonight, Wednesday. They've got Havant away, bottom of the table. So that might be an indication of if they manage to return to a little bit of form. We're probably not playing them at a bad time, given their run at the start of the season. They looked like they were going to, run away with it at the top. It was unbelievable. And then they've faltered lately. So not too bad. I think the squad will have a lot of confidence going into this, though. Off the back of two really good wins, I think. And if you can get, I'd say, at least a point on Saturday, it's a brilliant 7 days, isn't it, that Nobby and the squad have had, and it sets you up for November perfectly. So I think the players are going confidence. It's just whether those players are actually available to play.
Well, that said, Tavs, in the heady days of the 1980s Hertfordshire five-a-side league, Division 8, what was your key position, my friend? Fancy a game on Saturday? I think there's a few spots that going.
Well, Sam Bentley's taken my position, actually. It's the same as Jake on a Wednesday, except when I was playing, the ball was in front of me. When Jake plays, the ball's always behind him.
Why does it not surprise me that you were in goal? Just at the back, shouting, barking orders at people. Just a general disdain of displeasure. Go on.
Just too damn slowly. Started off up front and worked way all the way back. Aveley, we haven't played them at home. We haven't played them at all for 27 years. November the 5th, 1996, League Cup, second round, Clarence Park, Ishmael League Cup, that would have been. Some bloke called Clarkey got 3. Is he doing anything these days?
I've heard of him.
He wouldn't get in the team.
Doesn't run enough.
In the team. In fact, we've beaten them 4 the last 5 times we've played them, so it's a gimme this one. The one we lost was the League Cup final. You weren't there, were you, Lee? 1990. It was just before your time, wasn't it?
Yeah, just for my time. I'm not entirely sure how old you think I am, Tavs. Cheeky sod.
Well, you might have gone in your pram or whatever, And we lost 3-0. We just sacked Peter Lawrence as manager, which was ridiculous. He got us to 2 cup finals. We lost the Hearts Senior Cup final to Hertford Town after he got sacked. Then we lost to Aveley, a division below us. Crowd of just over 1,000 at Dagenham. And you knew what sort of day it was going to be when Andy Cox scored an own goal from the edge of the box early on, and that was it. It's got nothing to do with Saturday, of course.
Prediction time, then.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Come on, Jake.
I'm going to go 3-1 Saints.
Ooh. You are keen. I'm gonna go. Jesus, I'm gonna go 2-1 Saints.
Hey, they've got a couple of names in their squad you recognise. One you'll definitely recognise, Lee. You remember Lionel Ainsworth, striker, Football League, bouncing. You never heard of him? No. Also, in midfield, Dara Dada, our old friend from a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Well,
I'm going to go 4-1 Saints then after hearing those two names, to be fair.
Oh, no.
I'd like to think we're going to make it 3 in a row. It is just the injuries is the only concern, isn't it? Sorry to be boring. 1-1.
We expect nothing less, Dave, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, God.
What?
Right, we got one thing to announce. Of course, Ola the Wild's gone out on loan to Berkhamsted, and I think that'd do him good. It wasn't making an impact at our level. A season there, it's a season-long loan. I think that's a good move all round.
I think is it dual registration, so we can.
It is, yes, yeah.
I think that indicates again. Well, he might have to be in the squad for Saturday if we've got any players left. Want to say thank you to everyone that came up to us at the game last night and said
it was bizarre, wasn't it?
There's loads of them. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it as well. Always want to give out shout outs to Sarah, City fan, and her boyfriend Lewis, who I think she said is trying to learn the game a little bit, so is watching the podcast. So hello to you two.
He went there. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Lewis, I still got the scarf. It's up there.
There you go.
He's gonna be fuming now. He's be fuming when he reads. Oh,
be.
it's gonna be a thing of delight. Brilliant.
Anything else? Anything else we can think we need to mention before we need to go?
I think that's it. To be fair, I think we've endured, Tavs enough, and we've thrust ourselves upon the people of St Albans for too long. Oh, hang
One
on,
thing I will
Taz is
say
back.
is, after this game Saturday, we've got a bit of time to get the players back because we haven't got a game following Saturday because it was going to be at Worthing rather. They're in the FA Cup, so we've got nothing till Tuesday week, isn't it? When we go to Braintree Town.
Oh.
What a gift! What a gift that is as well. Good Lord! Right, well, when it's on that note,
Yeah.
As Jake said, thank you for everyone who's been messaging us and tweeting us and patting us on the back and scaring the crap out of us on the terraces of Clarence Park. Young Jacob is going to give you all the information you need to get in touch with us.
Yeah, at a Podful of Saints on Twitter, and a few questions there. I think we've covered most of them in what we've done. So thank you very much for them, and keep sending them in. Emails in the description. And I think on that cheery note, I think we're going to have to say goodbye, and then we will be back again next week to reflect on another 3 points for the Saints. So,
Jake, what's Twitter?
oh, X. God, Dave, you don't know how to use it.
You don't know what
Right.
it is anyway.
I don't know. No.
Cutting him off.
Right. We'll see you next week even. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye, everyone.